Alright, so today we went down to make a roof for a hut and went down to the neighborhood, played with the kids. So, Evan, how was your day today? What'd you do? What'd you talk about it?
Well, as we mentioned, we were building a roof, so we had to actually replace some of the wood. Oh, Esther's gonna come join us. We had to come replace.
Oh,
sit down, Esther.
Hello, Esther. Keep talking, Evan. You're good.
So we had to replace some of the wood and some of the metal sheets. So what we had to do is we had to take nails out and put nails on. So I guess one of my main jobs was just catching nails that were thrown down to me skillfully, along with giving nails to people who were up on the roof.
How about you, Tyler?
Well, today I helped with the with constructing a little bit towards the beginning, and then once I realized that there were much stronger and able-bodied people there to work, I went off with AJ and we started to play with the kids, and we played lots of games. I played my harmonica for him a bit, and then we went on a walk, and when we came back, we just kind of hung out with the kids and got to know them for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I was with Tyler most of the day. Started out building. I hate using hand saws. That was fun. And we were doing some other stuff, lifting heavy stuff. And then we were at a point where we didn't have a job, so I went over to play with the kids. And it was just a bunch of the neighborhood kids. I gave a soccer ball away, so one day when you see somebody in the World Cup telling their story about a crazy white guy that gave a ball away, that would definitely be me. So that was fun, and playing with kids was fun. And then we took the walk, and it's different. It was definitely different. The houses were kind of a neighborhood, but there were fields in between and like chicken coops and goat pens. So it was kind of spread out. There was a school and a church in the neighborhood, and that was cool. They all called this a town. This was a town to them. It's much more like a neighborhood to us. But almost everybody lived in like 1-2 room shacks made out of mud. There were a couple with stone, but yeah, it was kind of cool to see. It was eye-opening, to say the least. Just different to see how people live. And it's kind of cool to see how lucky we really are.
It was a good day. Well, here we are, signing off.
Wait, not yet. What were some of the thoughts and feelings you had from today? Like as you were building, or as you're playing with kids, or even on your walk, what were some of the things like?
Sammy? Well, Sammy was my buddy today. Please, no. Okay. Can you get that for me? Yeah? Thank you. Sammy, he was my buddy today. He was hanging out with some of the neighborhood kids when we were playing our games in the field. And he really enjoyed my sunglasses, so I let him wear those for a while.
He looked really cool.
He did look really cool. And he was kind of pushed around by some of the other kids and bullied a little bit, and they pushed him down and took his hat off and threw it on the ground. And so I just kind of took him in, and I just kind of played with him for a while and showed everyone that he's cool. So that was fun.
Nice.
I guess some of my thoughts was how can I be more useful, because just the way the job was, I think we all had that thought at one point.
Yeah.
The way the job was set up, it was just that there was very few positions that you could work in. So if you weren't in those very select few, you were either doing really small jobs or just sitting around waiting for something to do. Which I guess it's a good thing that a lot of us could go play with kids, because that way we could still work and, really still, change and serve and stuff. But, there was a lot of times when we were, at one point we were all just sitting around waiting for something to do, so. Really, AJ?
Talk about yesterday some, since we didn't film one yesterday. Talk about it some.
Talk about yesterday. Well, I'm not. AJ went to hang out with some kids, and Evan and I were on the same team. We went over to John's house, and we did lots of painting on his house that he's building for his kids to stay at. And
Oh, bless you.
so we just painted most of the upstairs rooms, and we put.
That's
Some of them
bless
was putting on first coats.
you.
Jeez. Some of it we finished up coats on it and finished up rooms, but that's pretty much what we do all day.
We got to see his property and hear about his plan for a really cool well that he has.
Yeah, that's what he calls it God's well, and he plans on providing the town below with water, with clean water that they can use.
Because all their water gets infected with waste and such, so they have no clean drinking water. And yeah, I guess you could probably tell him about your friend that you made.
Yeah. So while we were painting, one of the boys that is staying with John, his name was Willie, and so
He was a great dancer.
He was a good dancer. He taught Evan how to dance. So he was very kind, and I worked with him for several hours, and I just kind of got to know him, and we kind of worked on trying to understand each other, even though his English was not the best, but I could still understand most of what he was saying. And so we kind of taught each other about our cultures back home, and it was a lot of fun.
He even got his email.
I did, yeah.
Sweet. What do you guys see there? Like, how John's living, the town you guys were at. Talk about that.
I mean, it's better than mud huts, but it's nowhere near to the house that we would imagine in the U.S. when we say, "Oh, we're gonna go see a house." I mean,
Well, we heard some of his story about his property
Yeah.
and like what's going on. He had 2 houses. One of them was like a shanty house that he built originally for his boys to stay in, the boys that were living with him.
and
And he also built a house. It was a concrete house, 2 stories high.
it was pretty
nicer.
nice. It was
yeah,
nicer.
it was nicer compared to most of the other houses. But but the house actually got caught on fire, and so he couldn't stay in that. He had to stay in the shanty house. And so it's been 4 years, and he still has a long way to go on the house that we were working on yesterday. So that was a little bit of his story.
I mean, it's really cool seeing, because he is a very large piece of property, and it's really cool just seeing how he's using it. He's not just keeping it to himself and only building the nicest of houses only for himself. He's definitely using it. Like, for example, the well, that's on his property. He put the time and effort into that, and that's his clean drinking water, but he's just taking the blessing that God's given to him, and he's giving more.
Yeah, and I guess what's cool about John is he has the opportunity, or he did have the opportunity, to be one of the richest people in Kajabi, easily.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about his story is he gives because he has too much. And when you look at his house, when you look at the way these people live, that you know for sure that he doesn't have too much like we do. So it's cool to see that even with the blessings that he gets, he just still constantly gives it out. So, and this is from knowing John for what, 2 days?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was cool.
I gotta say, his juice was pretty good too. He has a
Is the juice good?
yeah, it was.
This was good.
One way that he supports him and his missions, and I believe some of the boys
And his ministries, yeah.
and his ministries is through a really cool juice shop, and it's more along smoothies, but it was very good. And the issue I guess with that is that he has a blender that's basically just like any blender you would find in an average kitchen in the U.S., and it overheats almost every 3 smoothies, and you have to wait, I think, like at least 30 minutes just for it to cool down to use it again. So
Yeah, and just from hearing John's story, he has 4 ministries that he's running.
oh yeah,
And it's crazy. He doesn't even work anymore because he's working full time for his ministries, and he's barely scraping by just because of how much he's giving away, and he loves it. I mean, I can't see a happier person.
oh yeah, like today he was just joking around.
Yeah,
he had a smile on his face constantly, and that's because I think he was helping and giving.
Yeah,
His
and he
time
loves
and-
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was cool. But yeah, yesterday I went to Naomi's Village, and
And
it-
Little Lambs too.
and Little Lambs as well. Naomi's Village was pretty cool. It was, you can definitely tell it's American made and American built, just because of how different it is than the rest of Kenya. So the place was, I don't know, how big would you say it was? I don't know.
I haven't been
But
there.
it's pretty big. It's got a full soccer field, big playground. It grows all its food, so it's pretty self-sustainable. And in the beginning of the day, I got to play with the really young ones, so like under 1, and that was a lot of fun, just because babies are awesome and really cute. Like Jake, the kid I was playing with, they found him in a field and decided to bring him into the orphanage. But when I went out of that, there was two people, the owners, Bob and Julie, who were talking about their mission and their passion, and you could tell they were passionate and they loved the kids and they loved everything they were doing there. But that was cool. Then I got to play soccer with the little kids, and that was great. Not really good, but I kicked the ball as hard as I can. Kicked it over a 10-foot high fence with an electric fence on top. So props to me. Not really. But and then after that, I went down to Little Lambs, which was the daycare for the HIV/AIDS kids, and we had fun there. The same little girl that came up to me last time, Vivian, she was stuck by my side. She remembered me, and yeah, it was kind of sad to see that I had to leave, because you don't know how much they get at home, how much love they get. So that was kind of sad. But on a brighter note, Tyler has a song for you to play.
Don't you, Tyler?
Don't you, Tyler?
I do. Just kidding, I don't. Okay, good night, America.